Nigeria is Africa's largest economy by population and one of its most resource-rich nations. Yet millions of Nigerians continue to struggle with rising living costs, unemployment, inflation, insecurity, and declining purchasing power. While successive governments have introduced economic and political reforms, many citizens are asking a fundamental question. Why do these challenges persist, and what must truly change for Nigeria to unlock its full potential? Is it our economic policies, our political structure, our institutions, or is it a question of leadership and accountability? Welcome to Nigeria Unfiltered, where we go beyond the headlines to have honest, solution-driven conversations about the issues shaping our nation. Today, we're joined by Dr. Moses Paul to discuss fixing Nigeria's economy and political structure. What must change? I am Olapode Roland, and this is Nigeria Unfiltered. We'll take a short break, and when we're back, we'll jump straight into the conversation. Welcome back to Nigeria Unfiltered. We're joined by Dr. Moses Paul. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Sure, it's great to have you.
Same here.
Let's jump into the conversation now. We're looking at Nigeria's economy. I'd ask you, what is the true state of Nigeria's economy today?
That's going by what we see on the street, because after all is said and done, we have quite some big policies in terms of economy, but at the end of the day, it has to do with the ordinary people, whatever policy you have, because I don't want to come here and speak English and talk about policies, and then what's there out there when you look at an average household of Nigeria grappling with not knowing where the next meal is going to come from, the transportation. Nigeria is big with a lot of resourceful, energetic young people who can't find direction to navigate their lives. And because I'm juxtaposing these on what is available vis-a-vis the reality, like you're asking me, we have some of the most strategic geographic features in Nigeria. We have a lot of things which ordinarily should allow the Nigerian economy, looking at, we're one of the biggest markets in Africa and in the world, but again, the reality of the everyday Nigerian is what you will look at from the question you're asking. And we have more people living in poverty. We have more people who can find food every day. We have more people who can't make ends meet. People who can't pay their housing rent and all of that. So again, that is the reality of the Nigerian economy. It's hunger, it's poverty, it's deprivation. That's what you see from the question, because it's a very big question, and in that context, this is the reality of the Nigerian economy.
Are we in a constant state of decline?
Well, looking at the trajectory of things, there are more people who go hungry every day now than it has been in the last couple of years. So if you look at that in terms of the data, I would agree with you that we are in a decline state.
Well, a declined state. And it's important to note that, because like you mentioned, the economy is a very broad question, and the realities of Nigerians currently is that more persons are living in poverty than has ever been. And one of the, I would say, factors, in fact, that's led to some of these economic decline, if you would have it, is the subsidy in that regard. During the 2023 elections, all the candidates mentioned that they would have the subsidy removed and that it was unsustainable and it needed to be removed. Now, looking back at that, was the problem the policy itself or the way it was implemented?
Well, for me, I think to deal with the issue of the economy, I can mention 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I think that if well harnessed, we will begin to see a change in the Nigeria economy and in our political status quo. Uh, First on the line has to do with the cost of governance. You know, we can't keep borrowing to fund government expenditure. You know, we have a very bloated, the cost of governance in Nigeria is very high. And if we can deal with that decisively, then that is one major funds, resources, whether from the removal of subsidy or whatever, any critical resources must be channeled rightly into education, into health, into infrastructure, into the enterprise development. That's one key thing that must be done. If that is attended to, I can tell you that you will see a form of turnaround in the economy. Also, I believe that we should restructure the economy. And when I say restructure the economy, I'm talking about that we are a consumer nation. We must move from consumption into production. And I don't want to just, because I know it's a cliche that people are used to, but what it means in practical terms is that we have to produce the food we eat. We have to manufacture the things that we use. And we have to also export the things that we make. You know, where this is not done, this is what it means to restructure the economy. Because we can't keep importing, we can't import prosperity. Whatever we import, it will affect, you know, the economy. We must become a producing nation. And once that happens, then we will see. But where up till today, Nigeria is still importing rice and importing the food we eat, given the very, you know, we have some of the most fertile soil in Africa, in the world. As an environmentalist, as a geographer, I can tell you this. We have some of the most strategic geography, the weather, the mountains, the valleys, comparable to anywhere in the world in terms of its strategic importance. And I said, again, you look at the energetic young people that we have that can be channeled into all kinds of things. So agriculture, innovation, mining, each of these critical areas of development must become the backbone of our economy if we must move forward as a people. That alone would change the status quo for us. Amongst other things, I strongly believe that we should, what we call the devolution of power, you know, where, because there's so much concentration in Abuja, you need power to get down to the local government, to the states. We must have that devolution of power, because where decisions can be made very quickly at the lowest level, you know, it can impact the people. Rather than looking at the presidency all the time, let people begin to hold their local governance, their state accountable. There, you can see that activities of, you know, whether economy or politics or anything will begin to change. And then, of course, I strongly believe that even the culture of our political culture, you know, changing our political culture will affect the economy. Today in Nigeria, the biggest road to prosperity is to become a politician. You know, and where that is the case, the danger is that you can see that's why economic activities and so many things have been relegated to, you know, to the back burner. And so a change in the trajectory of how the culture of politicking is done will affect, you know, the economy.
Looking at the number of things that you mentioned, a lot of President Tinubu supporters would say that he has done, I mean, looking at the administration so far, he has brought in multiple reforms and he has brought in a number of other policies that they believe are beneficial. And also, they would say that it's important, or would I even say necessary, that the country suffers first before it starts looking at some form of progress. Now, I would ask, in that direction, you have been quite vocal about Peter Obi becoming the president. During this span, or this period, do you think he would have made a better president than Tinubu, considering the current Nigeria architecture, looking at the policies that you mentioned, what is necessary in terms of economy, security, and everything in that direction?
I think one basic thing that I will give to him is I know that he will cut the cost of governance. That's what I will give to him. But essentially, I like to drive the conversation around critical issues. It's just beyond. Nigeria is very big and multifaceted, and it's important for us as a people to look at. I mean, yes, issue based. You know, the way we go about politicking, the way we, because we're still very rudimentary as a people, haven't contested, you know, in what I consider the most enlightened or the number one local council in Nigeria, and to be faced with the kind of narrative that persisted, you know, where we're still voting based on religion, we're still voting based on tribe, we're still voting based on, it removes completely the where we need to be as a nation and what we need to be as a people. And those kind of focus in terms of educating our people on that route, you know, is going to help, you know, the rebirthing of our nation and where we need to be as a people. So yes, I agree that I'm vocal, particularly for him, because I know that the cost of governance is something that is big within the Nigerian, you know, status quo. And in doing that, it'll curb, you know, it's in the forefront of what we need to do as a nation.
Well, you are saying the cost of governance would be the major thing that perhaps
because yeah, it should be primarily the cost of governance, because you know, he would live by example where that is concerned. You cannot, we're borrowing a lot of money, and we're putting the money, this money, if you look at even this administration, a lot of funds are going in the direction of the cost of governance. And I'm saying that for one who has a track record of funding education, funding critical issues, you know, that are required, you know, to date, I mean, if you do a rain check while he was governor, I think the longest road construction by kilometer was built by him in a state that is quite small like Anambra State. So you give it to him, you know. But my discussion for me is about the future of Nigeria beyond, you know, the individuals, beyond President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, beyond Peter Obi, is a sense of unity within the Nigerian estate to understand what is really at stake. That it is not about Peter Obi, it's not about Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's about something much greater than that. And until we as a people go beyond this rhetoric of individuals, of religion, of, because I mean, I'm not tired, but I'm tired with the Nigerian status quo where we are fixated on things that would not move us forward. We're living in the age of AI. The world has gone beyond the parochial nature of who we are as a people. We're still talking about very mundane things that I wouldn't want to talk about. Given the opportunities that I've had, you know, traveling around the world, we should be talking about, you know, expanding, you know, the policies, the Nigerian market, the innovations, stuff, you know. We should not be dealing with, till today we're sitting here and people are still being kidnapped in the bush. We're still playing with the lives of people. Nigerians are still being killed every day, you know. So sometimes it makes the conversation really difficult for me, because I'm not here to just promote an individual, but to promote real issue-based discussions where Nigeria will see beyond, you know, the parochialism of individuals or people to what we really and where we need to be as a people.
Well, that is definitely important. However, in a system like what we run here, it is the individuals that occupy those positions, right? And it's important that we're able to hold them accountable, or rather, be it persons that are willing to contest or wanting to come forward in that light. You mentioned that while Tabi was still the governor, he constructed the longest span of roads. I mean, there have been allegations that the money saved, it said that he used it to pay salaries, but there have been confirmations and fact checks that a number of those claims were not as clear, or rather, a number of them are half in that regard. Now, you said that he would reduce the cost of governance. However, in what direction would those funds be put in? Well, if you're able to cut funds, what are the directions where those funds would be used for?
I think I already mentioned it here, and I think Mr. P2B has granted too many interviews. You can also have him here to clarify on some of the things he has said. But I think there's too much. If you Google P2B right now, you'll see the interviews. He has answered all these questions to the teeth over and over, again. And I mentioned it very clearly here that essential resources must be channeled to education, because we must have an education that focuses on the skill of the people. We must begin to produce people who would solve problems. We must begin to produce students who can compete with anybody, globally. Students who would create solutions and businesses. If we channel properly funds towards education, we're going to see that. We should put funds into innovative hubs, into skills, into the enterprise development, into health. Today, most of our politicians and big people, once they are sick, they go to London, to go to US. It means that Nigeria is not good enough. There's no hospital today befitting. No Nigerian politician or any big man should travel out of Nigeria for any health tourism. We should all be able to, to go to hospitals here. We should channel funds, to be able to go to hospitals here. Hospital is a key, it's a tool of civilization. The fact that Nigerian politicians and leaders can't go to hospitals in Nigeria means that we are still in the Stone Age. The ability to be able to have functioning hospital, healthcare system where people can go to, it shows that, it's part of what we're talking about. That's how you know. And these are the areas where funds and monies, should be channeled into.
Okay. Are you saying that not enough money are being channeled into these sectors currently, or there haven't been any improvements so far?
The data are there. Nigerians are dying every day. People can't afford simple surgeries. And all the politicians, from the top to all that I know, they all go to checkups abroad. The statistics are there. It's not my word against theirs. As we're speaking right now, you can go to the airport. You see all of them going to the US, going to Turkey, going to India, going to different places. The fact that, but when they die, they bring them to Nigeria. So are we just a burial ground?
That's an interesting question to ask, in fact. And it's quite, I would say, in light of what you mentioned, that a number of politicians, right, go outside for health checkups and all. However, that could also be said about some of our aspirants, right? Perhaps they have families or family members, and in that light, perhaps Peter Obi as well.
The more we talk about, I just gave you an example. The last time I was going was it South Africa, for an engagement. There are over 200 people in wheelchairs traveling out of the country. I'm saying that it is bad. Whether it is Muhammadu Buhari's regime, Peter Obi's regime, or Bola Ahmed Tinubu's regime, something needs to change. And for me, I'm holding the young people, accountable. Remember while we were talking behind the scene, and I'm saying that the power to participate and ensure that we have good governance, regardless. The more we push the narrative if we make it about individuals, then we lose, the power to be able to hold even government accountable. Because somebody listening to me now will just feel that, okay, no, he just came to, it's just, the discussions we're having are beyond the parochial nature of our politics. This is life. Nigerians are dying every day. Our security architecture is very bad. In an age, while I was in school over 20 years ago in the university, my professor said that we already have satellites that could tell if you're reading newspaper, it can pick every word that you're reading from space. We live in the age of AI. Today, even the state of Dubai, UAE, gave a number of people who are sponsors of the gruesome killing, of the banditry and kidnapping taking place in Nigeria. Nigeria government is not able to bring them to book. So this is why I don't do interviews anymore, because I'm tired, because we're all just, it's like, now just follow come, we just they play. We're just playing with Nigerian lives and we just enjoy this politics, Hey, I am Atiku's person. Hey, I'm Peter Obi's person. Hey, I'm Jagaban person. We are producing very useless young people. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Pa Awolowo, Sedona, and all these people, they were all in their 30s. They were young people. They ensured that the white people ran out of our shores. They gave us a country. But today, look at us young people. We're just talking nonsense all over the place. We can't even articulate our thoughts, and we're living in a global village where at my age, people are already retiring from being presidents, but I'm here trying to run for a local government election that was completely rigged against somebody who can't even speak English, somebody who can't even be anywhere. So, but again, I've gone beyond being angry, because your anger means nothing. Your frustration means nothing. I'm speaking to the young people that we must come together beyond the narrative of our political class, beyond religion, beyond tribe, to understand that it's our life that is going, and that we must come together and allow for meritocracy, for the policies that we're talking about to be embedded, because where you can be called, where individuals, we live in Abuja, you can see the big buildings that exist. Go to Gwarimpa, you see over 1,000 housing units. How many young people can afford it? I know the number of calls I get every day. Every day there's a minimum of 20 people asking me for money. Because Nigerians can't. That is the real statistics. And that is what we're talking about. So I'm saying that because we must go beyond Tinubu, Peter Obi, Atiku discussion. We have to stay with what really matters and let the Nigerian people know, so that we can move our country forward.
Let's look at the coalition conversation. Now, there have been an increasing discussion about opposition coalition ahead of 2027. I would ask you, what role, if any, have you played in these conversations, and what do you believe is necessary for a coalition to succeed?
And it's a very interesting question, If a government is working optimally, nobody will be asking for the removal of that government. Are there things that this administration has done well? Yes. But for most of the things, they haven't done it. And we need people, patriots, who will rise up, to the occasion, to speak truth to power. I feel that opposition is not, because I belong to the opposition. I ran for Abuja Municipal Area Council. And I'm only speaking about this because I'm already out of court. If you look at the trajectory of Abuja, Abuja has always been won by the opposition. But at this particular point in time, Mr. Peter Obi campaigned for me. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was on the street with me. Hechi wrote to me, Amechi was in Nyanya, I was in the market, was in Lugbe with me. El Rufai, before he was taken, campaigned for me. And yet, the opposition allowed what happened to happen. So I don't think we opposition are serious. There is no way on earth that could have happened if opposition were serious. It should not have happened. So the opposition need to go beyond their individual selfishness and come together. There was a time in this country where the current APC, we knew what happened. The galvanization around President Muhammadu Buhari, the ruling class had no chance. They had to pack their bag and go, regardless of the billions of naira and dollars that was plunged into where we are. The opposition need to wake up, and the institutions need to be held accountable. It's only now in Nigeria that somebody will rig election and brag. How did we come to that level? At least if you steal, you should hide yourself in shame, right? But now, people take pride in stealing in broad daylight. This is what we have come to. And I think we are at a very dangerous curve in our Nigerians, in the history of our country politically. When we look back at where we are going to right now, we're like, to Fiakwa, it's like it never happened. For me, what I see is like we are at a place where, it is not about people. It's not about progress. It's about power. I want to show that I can deal with you and I am the one in charge. So it's not about the Nigerian people. The opposition must find a way to galvanize around the person that they know can help to bring change. When the campaign begins from the 19th of, we will talk about more things and look at who are the critical people in the opposition, who the young people and the old people should galvanize around, because campaign has not started. And so I'm not here to campaign. I'm here to look at, the issues and what needs to be done. But I'll be back here when the campaign begins so that we can talk about rightly.
That conversation definitely would have you doing that part. However, that question, right, where I said, what do you believe is necessary for such coalitions to survive? I mean, you are currently in the ADC, and Peter Obi is of the NDC, right? So those major coalitions, what you mentioned that the opposition is not serious. What needs to be done for these coalitions to truly fight for their place in the current electoral landscape?
Yeah, and I've said it, and this is the first time I'll be saying it, that I've said that the major opposition leaders must come together as one. At some point, some people need to drop their ambition and support others. There has to be a galvanization around one person. What happened in the emergence of President Buhari was that all major oppositions came together. When opposition is weakened, because again, while it is not true, it is true in rhetoric, because we have close to about 100 million registered voters from the last count, right? But if you look at President Tinubu came into power with less than 9 million votes. So that is less than 10% of the registered voters. In a democratic setting where things are working, the elections will be cancelled. Because when you combine Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, when you combine them, it's still less than 25% of the total registered voters. That's not an election. It means that by data, we still don't have a president, because a president must be, democracy is by the people, and the data is supposed to show the number of people that, voted for him. So in that context of data, we still have a long way to go. And that's why part of my proposal is that the opposition must stay together as one. Whether you like it or not, I think the OK ticket, is a powerful one, because you're having two people who ran as president in the last presidential election. That's Mr. Peter Obi and Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso coming together. So I think that's a very strong ticket. But for me, right, I'm in the ADC, and I say it like a joke, but I want to be like Wiki. If you ask somebody now, Wiki is like the godfather of PDP right now. But they say, who is he working for? Wiki is teaching us something that we should be looking at. Me right now, I want to be like Wiki. So it's not about political party. It is about where my interest lies. And I say to everybody that cares to listen, we should all be like Wiki. What should matter is to bring in the person that matter, And I say with all decorum and dignity, we should be like the FCT minister, Barrister Yensu Wiki. So we should not consider, it's not about political party right now. It's about who we need to work for to change the status quo of Nigeria.
Change the status quo of Nigeria, and in your opinion, that is Peter Obi.
Like I said, when the election begins, Peter Obi is my boss. So me campaigning and talking about him is not something new. You understand? I've traveled with him all over the world, from Asia to America. And that's why I'm saying that Peter Obi as president will cut the cost of governance. I know what he will do, because I've been with him. I know him. And so the things he has said, I've been to Anambra, I've asked questions, I've followed up. In the last 3 years, I've been all over the world with him. So I know what he would do. What you see is what you get with him. There are no theatrics with him.
Well, looking at cutting the cost of governance, It is an economic philosophy, right? And it's a number of persons or critics rather have argued that this might not realistically work within Nigeria's current political structure, right? Because there are a number of different aspects when you look at cotton in that light. How can this truly be effected as a change in Nigeria's system when there are a lot of other factors that would affect activating or actualizing that vision?
It's the easiest thing to do in Nigeria. Just get on the airport road now and start driving with speed. And then stop along the way and turn the car back on the same road and go against traffic and start coming back. Do you know what will happen? Nigerians will start turning and following you. Nigerians they're looking for a leader whose words his or her bound. Nigeria is looking for a leader that has character, that has compassion. Nigeria is begging to be led by competent. That's what Nigeria is begging for. Nigeria just wants a leader that says that all of us will suffer. He's the first person to drink Gary. They are looking for an exemplary leader, not somebody, and I'm not against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I need you, that's something, the conversation goes beyond that. I've gone beyond bashing of the current government. What I am right now at this age and time, I want Nigeria to see what is realistic. That if truly you come out, and I have shown an example, even with my campaign, that what you're saying is the easiest thing to do. Nigerians don't want an imam or a pastor who says, do what I say, but not what I do. Nigerians are looking for somebody who will do what he says. If you do that, Nigerians will follow you. Nigerians are the easiest people on the face of the earth to lead. I saw that with my campaign. Whatever you do, the people will follow you. That's Nigeria for you. So anybody saying that is not only a rascal, he's a criminal. The Nigeria we know, the character of Nigeria will follow what is true, what is right. It's an insult for any leader or any person to say that Nigeria is not easy to be governed. Nigeria is very easy to be governed. That's why later General Sani Abacha says any insecurity that goes beyond 48 hours, that the government of the day is part of it. Haven't we seen that?
Quite a bold claim indeed. And let's look into the corruption space now. I would ask, there are a number of challenges surrounding corruption. We have leadership, we have personal, citizens being corrupt in that regard. Can corruption truly be defeated without reforming any public institutions?
I mean, one of the key things that has to be done is to ensure that we have working institutions. We must build around institutions, not big men. What we have in Nigeria today are big men. So we have men that do not go, there are men that are above the law in Nigeria. There are men that don't follow traffic rules and order. There are men that, even in countries, we were in Indonesia, where I met with about 5 different ministers. Guess what? The Minister of Health, he has just one car. No, he just comes to a meeting and, you met the Minister of Education. Just walk into meetings, no car, no siren, nothing, So again, the issue of corruption, yes, I agree, we have to build institutions. The institutions must be bigger than individuals. In the case of Nigeria, individuals are bigger than institutions. Until we have institutions, the police, INEC, the judiciary, the institutions are, regardless of who you are, if you fall short of the law should hold you accountable and responsible. As long as we don't have strong institutions, as long as the law, which is supposed to be blind to tribe and big manism in Nigeria, and I give this example everywhere I go, the law is symbolized by a woman who is holding both, and she's blind. But in Nigeria, one eye is open. So if they see that, he's a Yoruba man, please let him pass. Okay, he's a Christian or he's a Muslim, let him pass. And where that is the case, nothing will work. The institution, I totally agree with you. What we see today as corruption in the country is because the institutions are not working. If EFCC is working, and I don't want to call name, a lot of governors today will be in jail. You know it, I know it. A lot of commissioners will be in jail. You know it, I know it. But the institutions are not working. and they are not working, corruption will be what the order of the day.
So we need to reform these institutions?
Absolutely.
Reform in what direction?
The reform is reform. The policies, the laws has to work. You know, it's simple. What reform? When you say reform, you are saying that, you know, whatever it is that is there must work. The policies has to work. You can't make policy that is not working. It's like you say bail is your friend. I mean, police is your friend. Bail is free. But we know that bail is not free. You and I know that police is not your friend. And so where that is the case, because I don't want to come and talk about big things. Let's look at everyday things. You know, we say in data that things are working, but there are more poor Nigerians. We are having the ratio of poverty in Nigeria is rising. More people are dipping into the poverty line. You know, those things have to change.
It is important that we make those changes. Now, let's take a short break, and when we're back, we'll continue the conversation. This is Nigeria Unfiltered. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Nigeria Unfiltered. We've been having quite a conversation with Dr. Mo, and truly insightful and quite extensive indeed. Let's jump into the conversation of women in politics. Now, there is quite a conversation around this, that a number of women have been sort of sidelined or not been able to put themselves in these spaces as much as they would have loved to. What are these challenges, and how can we as a nation move in a direction that solves this challenge?
That's women in politics?
Yes, women in politics.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the red chamber and the green chamber, they are quite, out of 109 senators, I think they're just about four of them there. The green chamber, I don't know, but they're quite really slim. We need more. We need to encourage women to participate in politics. It's not really easy, I know, because with the few people that I know that have been there, and you can see quite the number of challenges, you know, when you talk about Senator Natasha or Senator Ireti, you can see the challenges they've had. And I want to say this here, that because they are working, that's why you see that you are seeing them on the front line. We have 109 senators. How many do you know? How many are coming to interviews? I can exaggerate, not more than 10. So there is something wrong with our system. Because what is wrong is that it is those that are held accountable that people keep holding on to. Nigeria is sort of a crazy system. It is those people that put themselves out. Those are the people they keep holding accountable. And I think the media has a big role to play even to this question. You should have more women coming here and you challenge them. Because if you don't put them forward, nobody is going to see them. What you're seeing today, we have a lot of senators and House of Rep members who are moribund, who are doing nothing. And they are hiding. So you can't see them. The people you are seeing and talking about every day are the people that put themselves forward. And they are less than 5% of the collective. So we need, as parents, as government, as media houses, as people, we need to make more room for women. You know, as political parties, you know, I run election and most of the bulk of the people that surrounded me are women. But are they given the necessary support, you know, to be able to take their place? That needs to happen, you know. And if that happens, if we make more room for them, then we will see them.
Then we'll see them. It's important that we make that room where
Absolutely.
women can be put in those spaces more and in that light. Let's jump into the rapid fire question. Now, in this session, I would ask a question and you would answer with one word or a yes or no.
Okay.
Now, one word to describe Peter Obi.
Prudent.
One word to describe President Tinubu.
Jagaban. Is Jagaban not good enough? It's, I think of he's Jagaban. It's a word that describes him.
Okay. One word to describe Atiku Abubakar.
Call him Baba. He's a father.
And finally, one word to describe Omoyele Sowore.
Ha! My brother. Fearless.
Fearless. Now, finally, the signature closing question. If you were given the opportunity to redesign Nigeria from scratch, what are the first three things you would change? Just list them.
The law, its implementation. I'm still going with the fire chart. You're asking me three things that must be changed. Okay, so I just list, they are entwined. So it's not a one word answer, right? Just three things that would change. Three things that would change. I'll ensure that we work on the institutions of governance. That's one thing that must happen. You know, the justice system, INEC, police, the institution has to be worked on. Devolution of power. Must allow power at the grassroots. Whatever you do at the top, if the local government does not have power, if decisions are not made at that level, we can't go anywhere. That needs to change. And then, of course, the cost of governance.
Cost of governance, that has been quite vocal.
Yes.
From your end.
Law, cost of governance, devolution of power.
Devolution of power.
Yeah.
Law, cost of governance, devolution of power.
Yeah, you know what I mean by that? Everybody must be under the law. The law must take its course. The law must be implemented. There is no nation, no country on earth can move forward where there is no legality. You know, we can't be debating over criminals and bandits, for example. The law must take its course. If whatever you do, the law is priority. If you break street lights, so the law
must take its course. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on one of the most important conversations facing our nation today. Today's discussion reminds us that fixing Nigeria is not the responsibility of government alone. It requires visionary leadership, stronger institutions, sound economic policies, active citizen participation, and a shared commitment to national development. The challenges are significant, but so are the opportunities. The choices we make today will shape the Nigeria we leave for future generations. To our viewers, thank you for joining us on Nigeria Unfiltered. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you believe must change to fix Nigeria's economy and political structure? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and continue the conversation across our social media platforms. I am Olabode Roland. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, the future of Nigeria depends on the conversations we are willing to have today. This has been Nigeria Unfiltered. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.